The Lucy show kicks off with Lucy Carmichael in the middle of yet another one of her grand plans. Determined to prove to herself and everyone around her that she is more than capable of handling any situation. The episode begins with Lucy overhearing a conversation about a new and exciting event or opportunity, perhaps a charity auction, a high-profile gathering, or a celebrity meet and greet. The details don't matter as much as the fact that Lucy immediately sees it as an opportunity to elevate her status and to do something truly remarkable. As usual, her ambition knows no bounds, and she dives headfirst into the plan without considering the consequences. Lucy is always on the lookout for the next big thing, and this episode is no exception. Her excitement is palpable as she shares her newfound enthusiasm with Vivian, who, as always, is skeptical and tries to slow Lucy down. Vivian's cautionary remarks fall on deaf ears, though, as Lucy brushes off her concerns, confident that her natural charm and charisma will be enough to navigate whatever obstacles lie ahead. It's a classic setup. Lucy's overconfidence collides with the reality of a situation that is far more complicated than she initially believes. Lucy's eagerness to prove herself leads her to take on more responsibility than she can handle. She starts coordinating with the event organizers, but her lack of experience quickly becomes apparent. Lucy begins to misinterpret instructions, overcome it herself, and try to take on tasks that require far more expertise than she possesses. Her misunderstandings set the stage for a series of hilarious mishaps, where Lucy's good intentions only serve to complicate matters further. She insists on taking the lead in organizing the event, but her lack of attention to detail, as well as her tendency to take shortcuts, quickly leads to chaos. As Lucy gets more deeply involved, she begins to alienate the professionals around her, who are already familiar with the intricacies of planning such an event. Lucy's misplaced confidence and lack of knowledge create a growing tension, as she attempts to dictate the flow of events without having the necessary skills to do so. Her failure to read the room becomes increasingly apparent, and the people she is working with start to look at her with confusion and disbelief. Despite this, Lucy remains undeterred, convinced that she can still make everything work. Her resilience and determination are both admirable and, of course, hilarious as she barrels forward, oblivious to the mounting problems she's creating. In the meantime, Vivian plays the role of the reluctant sidekick, trying to help Lucy without becoming too involved in the disaster. She offers practical advice, but Lucy stubbornly refuses to listen. The more Vivian tries to steer Lucy in the right direction, the more Lucy digs herself deeper into the mess. As always, Vivian's reactions are a mixture of concern, frustration, and reluctant amusement. She knows that Lucy's heart is in the right place, but she also knows that things are bound to go wrong, just as they always do when Lucy is involved. By the midpoint of the episode, things have reached a boiling point. The event is rapidly approaching, and Lucy finds herself in a panic. She is overwhelmed by the sheer volume of tasks she has taken on and the mistakes she has made along the way. It's clear that Lucy's lack of preparation and understanding of the event's complexities has put everything in jeopardy. She realizes, albeit too late, that she is in way over her head, and the weight of her actions finally begins to take a toll on her. At this point, Lucy is faced with a choice: admit defeat and ask for help, or try to salvage the situation with her usual bravado. True to form, Lucy opts for the latter. She refuses to give up, determined to make it work, even though she has no idea how. This determination leads to an even more frantic sequence of events, where Lucy starts improvising solutions on the fly, trying to fix each new problem as it arises. These efforts only compound the confusion, and the event threatens to unravel completely. Vivian, watching this unfold with increasing disbelief, decides to take matters into her own hands. She steps in and starts managing the situation from behind the scenes, using her practical knowledge to smooth over some of the issues Lucy has created. While Lucy continues to attempt her own solutions, Vivian quietly works to minimize the damage and keep things on track. There's an interesting dynamic at play here. as Vivian works hard to prevent complete disaster while Lucy remains oblivious to the fact that it's Vivian's behind-the-scenes efforts that are keeping things together. As the event approaches its climax, Lucy is finally forced to confront the reality of her situation. The moment of reckoning arrives when Lucy is called upon to deliver a speech, a task that she's been preparing for in her own, typically disorganized way. The moment is full of tension as Lucy steps up to the podium, unsure of what she's going to say. But in true Lucy fashion, she manages to bumble through the speech, turning what was supposed to be a polished moment into another comedic disaster. She mixes up her words, stumbles through her lines, and manages to embarrass herself in front of the very people she's been trying so hard to impress. But here's where the twist comes in. As Lucy stumbles through her speech, she inadvertently says something that resonates with the audience. What starts as a complete disaster transforms into a surprisingly heartwarming moment. The audience, initially baffled by her awkwardness, begins to warm up to Lucy's sincerity, her unfiltered honesty, and her undeniable enthusiasm. They recognize that, despite the chaos, she truly cares about the event and the people involved. This creates a shift in the tone of the episode as Lucy, once again, is able to turn a disastrous situation into a win, but not through skill, planning, or competence, but simply through her sheer determination and willingness to be herself. By the end of the episode, the event, while far from perfect, is declared a success. Thanks to Lucy's persistence and the subtle behind-the-scenes help of Vivian, Lucy, once again, comes out on top, not because she did everything right, but because she never gave up. Vivian, exhausted but resigned, acknowledges that while Lucy's methods are unorthodox, they seem to work in the end. The episode closes with Lucy confidently proclaiming that she's learned valuable lessons from the experience, though, as usual, her idea of learning is far removed from the actual reality of what happened. She's already thinking about her next big project, her next adventure, and the next challenge she's going to tackle with the same boundless enthusiasm that drives her forward, no matter the cost. The final moments of the episode are lighthearted and full of the show's signature humor, with Lucy preparing to dive into yet another chaotic situation. Vivian, who has been through this before, rolls her eyes but can't help but smile. She knows that, no matter what happens, Lucy will always find a way to make things interesting. As the episode progresses towards the final act, we see Lucy's unwavering confidence starting to shift. The chaos that she has created, though temporarily avoided, is still lingering in the background. Lucy, as usual, remains oblivious to the full scale of the mess she's made, believing in her heart that things have somehow worked out thanks to her charm. This belief, though misplaced, gives her the courage to continue on with her next big idea as if the previous events never happened. However, as she starts planning her next move, it becomes apparent that this new venture may be even more challenging than the last. Lucy's compulsive need to be involved in anything and everything that seems exciting or rewarding has put her on a path where she's juggling multiple responsibilities, none of which she fully understands. The episode subtly reveals a deeper layer of Lucy's psyche, her fear of being overlooked, of being ordinary. She is constantly seeking approval, whether it's from the people around her, her friends, or society in general. This leads to her overcommitting herself, stretching her abilities beyond their limits, and finding herself back at the same crossroads she's faced in the past. But this time, there's a noticeable change in how she handles the situation. While she still operates on instinct rather than logic, there's a certain humility in her actions that wasn't there before. It's as if Lucy is beginning to realize that her previous methods of tackling challenges, while humorous, are unsustainable. This realization doesn't stop her from charging ahead, but it adds a subtle layer of depth to her character. She's still the same impulsive, optimistic woman who can't resist diving into chaotic scenarios. But she's starting to acknowledge that her actions have consequences not just for herself, but for the people who support her. Vivian, on the other hand, begins to take on a more active role in managing the fallout from Lucy's well-intentioned blunders. Throughout the episode, it becomes clear that Vivian has been silently stepping in more than usual, not just as a passive observer, but as an active guide in Lucy's life. This shift in their dynamics suggests a growing understanding between the two characters. Vivian, while still exasperated, sees the value in supporting Lucy not just because she's her friend, but because Lucy's resilience and unique approach to life, despite the occasional messiness, are qualities that are ultimately worth backing. It's not just about saving Lucy from herself anymore, but about seeing the good in her determination, no matter how misguided it may be. The episode culminates in a climactic moment where Lucy faces a monumental decision. As everything she's been trying to juggle threatens to unravel, she's forced to choose whether to continue with her plan or admit that she's in over her head. The moment of truth is both comedic and touching as Lucy hesitates, her usual confident exterior faltering for just a moment. This is the first time in a long while that Lucy openly admits to herself that she may have taken on too much. However, just as she's about to make a decision, the very thing she's been trying to achieve falls into place. Not because of her efforts, but due to sheer luck. It's a perfect example of the show's recurring theme. Lucy may not always succeed through skill or planning, but her sheer persistence and, more often than not, luck seem to carry her through. In the final moments of the episode, Lucy emerges victorious, but not in the way she expected. She stands before the same group of people she's been trying to impress, having somehow managed to pull everything together at the last second. Her success is far from traditional, and she knows that the outcome wasn't because she got everything right. Instead, it was her refusal to back down, her ability to keep going even when things seemed hopeless, that led to the eventual success. It's a bittersweet victory as Vivian watches Lucy accept the praise she believes she deserves. Even though it's clear to everyone else that Lucy's success is more a matter of timing than true competence. Vivian, ever the realist, watches as Lucy basks in her triumph, and while she's proud of her friend, she also knows that Lucy will never truly understand how close she came to failing. Still, Vivian can't help but smile because deep down, she knows that Lucy's ability to bounce back from failure, no matter how spectacular, makes her who she is. In that moment, Vivian understands that Lucy's heart is always in the right place, even if her methods are far from conventional. The episode ends on a note of familiar chaos as Lucy excitedly jumps into her next big idea, full of optimism and, perhaps, a little bit of arrogance. But this time, it's clear that the people around her, especially Vivian, have accepted that this is just the way Lucy operates. There's a sense of peace in knowing that, for all her quirks and mistakes, Lucy is someone who brings excitement, energy, and a certain kind of magic to the lives of those around her. Vivian, with a resigned but affectionate sigh, is already preparing herself for the next misadventure that Lucy will undoubtedly drag her into. As the credits roll, the audience is left with the feeling that, while Lucy may never truly change or learn from her mistakes, she will always have the ability to make things interesting. The chaotic whirlwind that is Lucy Carmichael continues to captivate because despite all the mishaps, miscommunications, and misunderstandings, she's the kind of person you can't help but root for. The unpredictability of Lucy's actions, the genuine heart behind her blunders, and the unwavering support of Vivian make this episode, like so many others, a delightful exploration of friendship, ambition, and the unpredictable joy of life.